Well, my parents and
let me stop this music so I can speak to you guys a minute. Pause. Okay. So I know the last couple of weeks I've been inspired by Reiki sessions. And I'm just running with it because that's what's coming up. So last week, I believe it was, I was inspired by a session I'd given my boyfriend and how Krishna had appeared in one of my visions, dancing and playing his flute. And so we did a whole practice talking about the symbology of the flute and adding in some of the poses that brought that story to life. And then Monday, we did a lot of binding. I had woken up thinking about what I was going to teach, and I got all these flashes of binding the arms. And there was another Reiki session that I brought in with that theme. Today is a completely different Reiki session, and it was with a woman that I had never met, didn't know her last name, didn't know where she lived, didn't know her occupation, like nothing about this woman. I trusted her referral to me, so she came to my house for me to give her Reiki. And anyway, literally my Reiki room, my yoga space is the first room when you come into the front door. And she literally went right into that room, laid out on the table. And when I started working on her head, you know, heat does emit from the top of the head. But when I was giving her Reiki, it was like too much heat, like radiating heat, like steamrolling heat. And I was in the question of what's going on here. And I got this image of anger. And I said, I was like, are you really upset and angry about something? And she went, She didn't give me anything else, which was fine. And I kept working with her, and the same kind of things kept showing up. So I was at another place on her head. The quote came in. I don't always get quotes with Reiki, but I did with her. And the quote came in, rejection is God's protection. And I've always liked that quote. I've been burned a lot in relationships, which is why I love that quote. And that quote came up, and I was like, all right, I don't know if this quote means anything to you, but this is what I'm getting. And I got no response, and I just kept going. And when I got to her heart, there was another quote that came in. And the quote that came in is, and the day came when the risk to remain as tight as a bud was more than it took to blossom. So when that quote came up and I was over her heart, I was like, oh, okay, this woman's brokenhearted. Something has broken her heart. She's contracted in her heart. She's angry because of some sort of betrayal, right? I didn't know the story, but I could just see the theme happening. And then in the end, I saw Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is this goddess of beauty and prosperity. And one of the stories that I don't know many stories about her, but one of the stories that came to my mind when I saw her was the fact that there was all these men that lusted after her because she was gorgeous, right? And they wanted her. They wanted her for the wrong reason. And she recognized that, and she got to pick her person, and she got to pick her beloved based on true love. So I shared that with her at the end. And then when she came off the table, I was like, can you tell me what's going on? And she said, you hit everything correctly. She said, even the opening, she was like, I was trying not to cry. But she was in a relationship and had fallen in love with this guy, and he just cheated on her and left her, and literally moved in with the girl that he had been cheating on her with within a week after they broke up. So you can imagine she was angry and upset over it. So anyway, she felt really good about it, and she texted me later, and I had sent her the quote about, and the day came when the rest of her maintenance times of bud was more than it took to blossom, because we can't stay contracted. I think all of us have been betrayed, by friends or lovers. All of us have had our hearts broken. All of us are going through life experiences that make us withdraw and contract at some point. And so as yogis and individuals, it's important for us to notice when we're getting
like, shriveled that way, and to try to bounce back, try to bring our joy back, try to bring back our life, try to bring back our love, try to blossom like the rosebud, right? Because the rosebud's not going to stay a rosebud, it's going to eventually bloom. And that's what we want to do. We want to bloom too. So anyway, ended up being a great session. And I wanted to bring that into our inspiration for today. Now, we're going to be doing a couple different exercises today. And this was something I personally got to do yesterday with a specialist. She's an anatomy specialist. She is the owner of Donaldson Hot Yoga. She lives in my neighborhood and I'm friends with her. But I made a post recently that you guys could have seen. And I was doing that fancy wheel pose, that big back bend. And I made a post saying, bodies change, age changes your practice, and this is what's been happening with me. And she goes, I want to work with you. She's like, can we set aside some time? And I said, sure, but it's a degenerative disc. There's not, there's nothing I can do about that. She goes, I think I can help you. I'm like, okay. So she helped me yesterday. And my body felt better. So I'm going to teach you guys a couple of different things that she taught me. It's not yoga, but it can be yoga-esque, So I want you to think about how, when you're with an infant and you're observing an infant, all the different things that they have to do to start to strengthen their body, to become aware of their body, to begin to move like a human being, right? They have to have belly time. That's our cobras. Babies are doing cobras all the time to build up the strength in their back and core. Think about when babies get on their hands and knees, right? Tabletop position. And they're crawling around. And what do all babies eventually do? They do downward facing dog. What do they eventually do? They walk the feet forward to the hands, or they walk their hands back towards the feet to stand up. Think about, we get these type of mechanics in yoga. These are primary functions for the human body. So we should be trying to maintain these same type of functions as we age. So we are going to do a couple sun salutations, but we'll be gentle with it. And we're going to do what's called rolling. Because she told me yesterday, and it made sense. She goes, think about a lot of the primary functional movements we learn as an infant and toddler. She goes, but there's one that we don't do in yoga. And she's right. And we're going to do it today. And it's rolling. Think about how babies learn to roll and flip their bodies. So you're going to want clearance on both sides of your mat. So if you have props around, and your arms are going to be lifted overhead too. So just make sure that when you get supine on your mat, there's some clear space. And then can I show you really quick the rolls so that you know what's happening? So with the rolls, what we're going to do is we're going to try to roll to the belly using the lower part of the body and not engaging the upper body. It sounds easy, but it's actually kind of challenging. So we'll be lifting one leg and not using the arms. And we're letting that back arm just be lax. And then we're coming over to the belly. And then to get back, we lift the arm, keep the leg stationed, and we keep carrying the arm back, 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 back. It's harder than it looks. And then release. And then we'll do it the other way. Okay? So go ahead and get supine on your back. And we'll center first. If it doesn't feel comfortable for the low back to have the legs extended, feel free to bend your knees as we turn to our breath. And then you can straighten the legs before the rolling. Close the lids of the eyes. And take time just to feel the ground under your body. When you feel the ground beneath your body, take a deep breath in and a long breath out, and just submit all of your weight. Give in to gravity. And now come to the top or the front side of the body. And now focus on the movement you experience as you breathe. The expansion of the belly and the chest as you inhale. And it relaxing back in on the exhale. You may still be at the surface level, so start to go deeper inside. Maybe feeling the air currents running up and down to the bridge of the nose. Perhaps setting your inner gaze to the mind's eye. Or just sensing and feeling any sensation in your body. Now glide the feet closer together. And circle the arms up overhead, and the arms can be kind of like a Y shape. So we're going to start with the left leg. So remember, as we're rolling to the belly, we don't want to use the arms or really the core. We're actually just lifting the left foot and we're crossing the leg over the right. Notice when you start to use the upper body, try not to push through either hand. Instead, just let the leg lead you. Send it across, let the left arm hang back behind, and then eventually turn to the abdomen. Now we're gonna roll back to the mat. So we're gonna start lifting the left arm. The face will turn, try not to use your legs. Use just your upper body to roll to that supine position and back down. Now we'll lift the right foot. Again, relaxing the upper body, engaging the lower body. Right foot crosses over, the leg crosses over, the right arm stays relaxed as you turn and spill down. And then the right arm will lift. You can even gaze towards that hand. And gently roll back to your mat. We're gonna do that one more time to each side. Left foot lifts, crosses over. So Kim was telling me, Kim doesn't even teach in her studio because she has, another full-time job really. And she was telling me whenever she goes into the studio to clean or whatever, left arm lifts. She said that she'll go into the studio and do these rolls all the way down the center of the studio and back. The right leg lifts, cross it over. The right arm lifts to carry you back. I found this exercise to be very interesting, and I could feel the resonance of the truth in that statement. That it's functional movement that we should maintain throughout our lives. I'll just be here. Now tuck the knees in towards the chest, wrap your arms behind your thighs or in front of your shins, and just have a light, effortless hold. You're not overly squeezing, but you're stretching the lumbar area, giving a little compression to the belly. Affirming here as you hold, I reduce my scattered forces
to rise up and away into the sky. Now gently roll over to your right, push down into your left palm and come up. We're gonna come to standing Vajrasana, where we're on the knees and shins. And kind of move towards the back side of your mat a little bit, yeah. And our hands are gonna come to prayer position. We're gonna do a kneeling form of sun salve. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead. This is like our Urdhva Hastasana. And then as we exhale, we're gonna come to extended child's pose. This works as our forward fold like Uttanasana. Instead of plank, we're inhale, rocking forward to tabletop position. Instead of a full chaturanga, we're just bending the arms and bringing the upper body down. Inhale, you're coming up to a cobra, Bhujangasana. And as you exhale, your hands slide out and you're all together. Prone position. Good, inhale, slide your hands under your shoulders and then gently come up to a low cobra. Breathe. Keeping your legs fired up and your feet on the floor. Strengthening the diaphragm muscle and your back. It's like an infant getting their belly time. We need it as adults as well. Affirming, I rise joyfully to greet each new opportunity. On your next inhale, you're coming to table. But on the exhale, the hands walk out and you're coming to puppy. So puppy is different than melting heart. In other words, we're not sinking the shoulders to the floor or the chest to the floor. It's like a modified way to do downward facing dog. On your next inhale, walk the hands back, come to standing Vajrasana, arms reach overhead. And then exhale, hands to heart. All right, we're gonna do one more baby sun salve. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, this is our forward fold, like Uttanasana, except it's child's pose. Inhale, rocking forward to table. And then exhale, coming down to the ground. Fire up your legs and glutes. Inhale, roll open, baby cobra. Exhale, we're going back down. Hands slide together and out. Inhale, slide your hands back. Roll up, baby cobra. Hold and breathe. Inhale, coming back to table. Exhale, walking the hands out, keeping your belly suctioning in. Puppy pose. Breathe here. Now walk your hands back, come to standing Vajrasana. And then exhale, hands to hearts. All right, before we do a regular sun salve, we're gonna come back into tabletop position. We are gonna drift into melting heart. So the left arm is gonna reach out. The right arm is gonna cross so that we can sink down through the left side body. So this time we are spilling down to the belly. We're melting the heart. We're really stretching into that left shoulder joint. Resting and breathing. So I'm gonna have a challenge before me pretty soon. I got invited to teach at this conference with about 50 women who are in their breast cancer stages or recovery. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm just gonna love doing some of these poses with the arms to stretch out the chest. And then I realized, no, they're in all stages. They can't even move their arms.
So it's gonna be a lot of focus on the lower body. So just appreciate the fact that you can do this here today with me. On your next inhale, let's slide the left hand back. Let's prop onto hands and knees. And then we'll take it the opposite way. The right arm's gonna stretch out. The left arm's gonna prop the head. And you're just gonna sink and surrender. So these type of poses are good for breast health, and they are good for flushing out the lymph nodes and draining the lymphatic tissues, but you have to be mobile. You have to be in a healthy place to be able to work into these fibrous tissues. Luckily, we can do that here. Feel that dip sway in your low back, pouring everything down through the heart and the third eye. And remembering that quote of inspiration. And the day came where the wrist remained as tight as a bud, was more than it took to blossom. So slide your right hand in, stand onto your left palm, curl the toes. Let's go ahead and lift off into downward facing dog here. And from Adho Mukha Svanasana, take a deep breath, pushing down through your palms, stretching long through your arms and vertebrae. It's okay to bend the knees if the hamstrings are blocking this extension. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and travel the feet forward towards the top of the mat. Folding down and in to your version of Uttanasana today. Affirming here and now, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. On your next inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up overhead. Palms come together. And then exhale, bring your hands down to the heart. All right, this is where, if you think you might need blocks, you can have those at the front side of the mat. Before we go into the sun sound, we're going to do something to work the IT band here. So with your hands to your hips, lift your chest, and as you exhale, start to hinge forward from your hips. Let your arms just come down to the blocks, and have the blocks forward of your toes. Okay, then determine from here, do you want the blocks to be this tall, or can they go down a notch or two? So you can test that out. We're gonna bend the left knee and keep the right leg straight. Now both feet are gonna stay flat to the floor. Do you feel the IT band, the outseam of the right leg? Yes? Okay, good. If you don't, it may mean that you need to go lower. So turning the blocks down a level or hands to the floor. All right, let's go to the other side. Bend the right knee. Straighten out your left leg. And is there a difference between the two sides? Be aware if there is. You may start to notice places where you didn't even realize you were stuck. All right, now straighten your right leg, bend your left knee again. All right, I want you to take your left hand to slide up your left arm. You need to look forward and be like, what are you talking about? Right hand's gonna slide up, and then you're gonna slide it across your collarbones, and you're gonna roll open through your chest and free up that right hand and soar it up. Your tailbone's reaching back, your crown's reaching forward. Good, exhale, lower the right hand. And now bend your right knee, straighten your left leg. Same approach today. Left hand's gonna slide up the right arm. It's gonna move across the collarbones, really roll open. And then shine the left hand skyward. Breathe. Good, exhale, lower the left hand, straighten out both legs, and then gently lift up. When you lift up, your hands are gonna come to prayer position. We'll do a regular sun stop. Inhale, lift your arms up overhead. We're gonna do more of a blend between A and C today. Exhale, hinge forward and release. Inhale, the left leg's gonna step back and the back knee's gonna drop down. And inhale, pressurize the right foot and come up to Anjaneyasana. This half lunge. Exhale, take the hands to fan out. Plant your palms, curl the back toes, step it to plank. Exhale to chaturanga, or you can lower your knees. Inhale to up dog, or you can return to cobra. Exhale to down dog, or you can always do puppy. Holding and breathing here. Inhale, right foot's gonna step forward and up between the hands. Back knee's gonna spill back down to the ground. Untuck the back toes. Inhale, reaching up. From Anjaneyasana, exhale, hands stand back down. Curl the back toes. We're gonna do one more of these, but let's step forward first. Exhale, lower the head and the heart. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, we're going right back in. Inhale, right foot back. Exhale, lower the knee. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, hands down. Curl the back toes, inhale, plank. You can always do table. Exhale to chaturanga, you can always lower your knees. Inhale to up dog, or you can do cobra. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot steps forward. Back knee drops down. Inhaling up. Exhale, release. Step it to the front. Holding to Uttanasana. Inhale to the top. And exhale, hands down. All right, we're gonna work on some rotation. And when we work on a rotation, hopefully it's gonna open you up more for bridge, okay? So the hands together here first. Inhale, the arms reach overhead. Exhale, we're gonna twist to the right, separating the hands. Good, inhale, turn to face the front, arms float up. Exhale, spin to your left. We're gonna keep this going. Inhale, center. Exhale, spin to the right. Good, inhale, center. Exhale to the left. One more set on your own. We're gonna come back to the floor. When we come down to our shins, you may have to sit on a block to do this. Hopefully it's gonna work out for you. So this is the way we're doing our hands. The hands are dialed in towards each other and we're creating a diamond shape between the index fingers and the thumbs. And again, we're leaning forward, okay? So we're gonna point the right forefinger and you want it to be pointed and set in between the eyes. So think about it lining up with your third eye. And then you're gonna slowly, oh, the last thing I meant to mention. You're stabilizing, because every time I turn this way, my hips wanna move. If your hips move, draw the belly in, stabilize your hips, because I gotta do it on this side. Let's go ahead and extend the right arm. You're gazing at your forefinger. And then you rotate to the right.
Right, then keep looking at the finger. Draw it back. Release the right. Good, lift your left pointer finger. Again, center it with the third eye. Gaze that direction. And now rotate around to your left. Notice if you're locked in any place in your back. And then slowly come back. And release the hand. We're doing this in 3 sets. This is the second set. I don't know if you're noticing, but when I spun to the right yesterday, my hips wanted to move. And when I rotated to the left, I felt a lot of stiffness. So that was just showing me where I was locked up in my mid back. And this has been super helpful. So I wanted to introduce it to you guys. One more time. So basically, we did a lot of the rolling that we did at the very beginning, and then she was showing me this mechanic. And I got into wheel without any pain. It wasn't the degenerative disc. Now, we're not going all the way to wheel because that's not a gentle pose. But bridge is a nice alternative. Right, so if you want to eventually do supported bridge, bring a block. You may just want to be active. Now we're ready for it. So we're going to come to our back. Stacking on the feet and stacking the palms beside the hips. Now go ahead and roll your outer arms towards the floor, and notice when you do that, how the cavity of the chest lifts up. Now keep the pressure down through your outer arms, your outer shoulders, and your feet. Tuck the tailbone and lift thighs, hips, abdomen, and chest. You're still pressing through the mound of the big toes to keep the thighs rolling in. Being active in the pose first. And of course, wheel is where you flip the hands over the shoulders and then you straighten your arms and come into that big back lift. We're just keeping it here today. See if that rotation helps you to feel any better in this pose compared to other times you've done this pose. And then if you want to move to supported bridge, you can stack the block under the sacrum and then sit upon it. Now, if you'd rather use a bolster to slide under the sacrum, you can do that too. And then turn your palms open. Close your eyes. Just going to be here. Affirming I offer every thought as a bridge to divine grace. So what I want you to picture in your mind's eye is a pink rosebud resting at your heart. And that pink rose represents gentleness, thankfulness, peace, femininity, and grace. And with each breath that you take, imagine each of those petals are beginning to open and bloom. And each petal representing one of those attributes
or another attribute of the heart, such as love, and compassion, acceptance, and tolerance, faith, courage. On your next inhale, pressurize the feet, tuck and lift away from the block. Once you remove the block, roll it down one vertebra at a time. Bring your right knee towards your chest. Slide your left leg out in front of you. Hold that knee with your left hand, free up your right arm, and then spin that knee over and across your body so that you're taking a supine twist. Now, to be more conservative with your body in the pose, you're attempting to keep the right shoulder down. Gently unwind. Slide your right leg out, hug your left hand. Continue to hold that knee with your right hand, but free up your left hand. And then spin that knee over your body. And try to keep that left shoulder touching down. And exhale, unwind. Tuck both knees in long enough to create a counter position after the twist, maybe maintaining 3 to 5 breaths. And rolling over to one side and coming up. We're going to set up for a restorative pose now. So the restorative position, grab your bolster and your blocks. Your first block, we're going to change it up a little bit today. Instead of the first block being on the tall height, we're going to have it on the middle height. And instead of the second block being on the middle height, we're actually going to take it down a notch to the first height. The bolster will then create the slide. And then you're going to roll your back onto it and flip your hands over. Now, if you wanted, we're not really working on external rotators of the hips today, but if you feel like you're missing out and you want that butterfly, you're welcome to take it here. And I'm going to dim the lights now that we're moving into this restorative piece of the practice. So let your body rest. Let your mind reboot. And let your spirit reset. While you're here, if you want a symbol to meditate on, picture that beautiful blush pink rose blooming at your heart.
Slide the feet in. But separate them wide. So you can do the windshield wipe twist. Rocking the knees from one side to the other. 2 to 3 times. As you, in that sequence, you can roll over to one side and do one more restorative pose. We're going to transfer props in front of us. And you're going to line up the blocks side by side. So lean the bolster over this way. The knees will go over. And then, of course, the blanket can be used like a pillow or as a weight or as a covering. Then take your time setting up, stationing yourself here. Using the simple observation of the breath to meditate with, to meditate on. Just watching the breath come, watching it go. Breath rolling in, breath rolling out. Breathing in, breathing out. In and out. Sorry, that person came into the wrong door. So with that distraction, you just return to the technique. Observing the breath's entrance as well as its exit. In, breathing out. In and out.
As you inhale, stretch your arms overhead. As you exhale, draw the knees in. Roll into one side. Coming up to take a seat.
Come up to sit, close the eyes. And just picture that pink rose in full bloom sitting at your heart. And then bring the hands to the blossoming lotus mudra, which is your wrist, thumbs, pinkies together, and the other fingers extended out like petals. This mudra to remind us whenever we feel contracted or tightly closed up or withdrawn, to find ways to reopen. So that we can bloom where we are planted. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Thank you guys for being here today.